Welcome to episode 5 of Star Wars Culture Live, a pretty new podcast focusing on Star Wars excitement and connection, your escape pod for hyperspace buzz and fandom fixes. I am Ian, and this other person here is Marty, and we are in our first era of the podcast. I don't know how many Taylor Swift fans are out there, but there's this is our first era. We call it a new hype. Yeah. Since we're a fairly new podcast, enjoying the hype for a franchise and a fandom that's been around for 47 years. If you are on the internet at all ever, you know that Star Wars fans can get a little toxic and not super fun to be around, especially whilst discussing Star Wars. But that's not what this is. This is where the fun begins. We want to talk about the things we love about Star Wars, how it enriches our lives, the things we love about the community, the culture, the fans, the media, anything at all. So throughout the show, if you have anything for us at all, reactions, questions, requests, suggestions for future segments, anything at all, just throw them in the comments and we will see what we can do. As always, we're going to start with random host facts. So quick fun facts about me and Marty to help you get to know us a little bit better each episode. So while I think of a fun fact about myself, Marty, take it away.
Okay, so it's not about voice, things anymore. But this time, I'm going to mention. This time it is, and this is a Star Wars related, and it's very near and dear because I thought it was pretty cool at the time. It was about 7th or 8th grade. It was me and a couple of buddies. We're part of like the school band, but they have like competitions where you can do like groups or solo performances. There's this during one of the competitions, it was me and my two friends. We entered the group competition, and the song that we chose was the Imperial March. And believe it or not, we took home I think 2nd place. I think.
Okay.
I don't know. We scored pretty well. We scored pretty good. And then the funny thing is, though, since it's just the 3 of us, there's only 3 instruments. We had one friend on the trumpet, my other one on the clarinet, and I was on the alto sax. So you couldn't really quite hear it a whole lot of what the Imperial March was unless you're hearing the trumpet. But we still played pretty well. The people were like, Yeah. But the people were like, you guys were pretty gutsy with this. I mean, no one would really think to take this on, but we give you guys credit. You guys did pretty good.
It's ambitious. Ambition is the enemy of success. So you get extra points for that. It's like in gymnastics, like in the Olympics, where it's like you get if you pull it off, it's like it's hard. You get more points for more difficult maneuvers. So you deserve that.
Oh yeah.
I think. Yeah, that's awesome. My fun fact, there is no reason for anyone to believe me when I say this, other than like I wouldn't make this up, but I have never chewed a piece of gum in my life. It wasn't on purpose. It just like my parents didn't really chew gum that much unless it was like in the car to make their ears pop. Like it was like just not a part of my household. It wasn't in my house. There just wasn't. It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't like we had a vendetta against gum. Like, no, you don't chew gum in this. It wasn't it. They just didn't really chew gum. And then like when I was like 12, I started to pick up on the fact that it was weird. Like even at 12, other kids were like, "You've never chewed a piece of gum." So then after that, like their reaction when I said that got funnier and funnier the older I got. So now when I'm a grown adult and I tell people that I've never chewed a piece of gum, their reactions are out of this world hilarious. And I understand that it's hard to believe, but it wasn't on purpose at first. But ever since I was 12 and started realizing people's reactions, it is now on purpose. So I don't know. That's just a random fun fact about me. I don't know. Maybe one day it'll be like, it's time. And I'll just decide that it's time to chew gum on my deathbed or something. I was missing out.
That'll be something you'll need to record.
Yeah, that's a good clip. All right. So that's fun facts. I hope no one's like scarred for life with that knowledge. I'm not going to chew a piece of gum this week. I'm sorry. Um, who are you?
I do want to apologize for my camera lagging. I don't know what's going on. I'm kind of looking at myself. I'm kind of looking at playbacks too. I'm like, I'm a little laggy. So I do apologize to everybody out there.
Sometimes if you get rid of the playback, if your playback is on the same computer, if you get rid of the playback, it will speed it up a little bit. That happens with streaming for me sometimes. I don't know if it'll help, but for streaming games, sometimes that helps. Fine. You know what? At 5,000 subs, I will chew a piece of gum on stream, on air. I will allow that. I'll allow it. We reached.
Yeah, we got to make
subs.
the.
I have a
right
reason
now.
That's a good enough reason. Let's do it.
This channel's at what 21 k 2.1k, so 2,100 subscribers. We're trying to get.
So it's only like, what 2,800 subscribers, 2,800 more, 2,900 more, easy.
Come on.
All right. No, we're 7 minutes into the podcast and barely talked about Star Wars, so we're going to move on to what we like to call the HoloNet news, and this is just a very brief touch on some of the news, the things that came out in the Star Wars world this week. The one that I wanted to talk about first was Rebuild the Galaxy came out on Disney Plus. It's a Lego collab. It's a 4-episode miniseries, and it is hilarious. I mean, there's so many little Star Wars jokes and so many little Easter eggs for the grown-ups who remember the originals and recognize a lot of stuff, and then there's a lot of fan service for the younger fans too. And it's it's Legos, it's like the Lego movie, and they it's not as like intense with every single thing being Legos as the Lego movies are, but it matches the vibe of, I don't know if you've ever seen the other Lego Star Wars specials, but it was really fun. My family and I really loved it. Darth Jar Jar. But Rebuild the Galaxy came out. Check it out, Disney Plus. Another piece of news: the Acolyte, the Renew the Acolyte petition, reached 75,000 signatures this week. I have never seen anything that high about anything media related. I'm sure, like, even if those people all spent $1,000, I'm sure that wouldn't be what Disney would need to make it financially viable in their eyes. I don't know, big corporations, stuff like that. But 75,000 signatures on a Renew a show is not a small thing. So I'm gonna keeping an eye on that and see where that goes. Another cool piece of news. Let me pull it up here. Entertainment Weekly released 2 photos from the Skeleton Crew coming out. It is piratey as heck. That is Jack Sparrow in space. And I know, Marty, you wanted to draw attention to this flintlock pistol here.
I really did. I mean, that's something we haven't, at least I haven't seen in Star Wars anywhere. And when I saw that, I was just like, how's that going to fire? Like, is it going to be like any other regular blaster, or
I don't know.
Like,
I'm curious about that too, because like it has like machinery here. Like it doesn't. There's not like gunpowder in there. Like what's the I would love to see, those books where they like take apart all the tech stuff and explain what everything does. I want to see that for this weaponry here.
Oh, me too.
Sorry, there's another.
Instead of a reach.
Maybe it's what?
So maybe instead of a recharge, like a lot of the blasters do, that's a one and done. You got to put in another battery or something.
Oh man, yeah. Maybe it's like just a slow reload kind of overpowered hyper pistol thing. I do want to draw. These are some of the other pirates. I do want to draw attention to Vane here, who is a character in The Mandalorian. And so that, I don't know if we knew when this took place before already, because I didn't. But seeing Vane in here means that it's either like right before Mandoverse or right after Mandoverse, or I mean, I don't know how long these guys live. It could be a Kiadi Mundi situation, but they like he's definitely a character from that show. So
Yeah, he did escape that episode, so it's
yes,
possible he found a new crew.
yep. Or this could be like his old crew before he got
Maybe.
in with what's the Gorian Shard. I got there. Took me a second.
There you go.
All right. So
I like that
yeah,
Jaleel White's in it too.
yes.
So
Yeah, that was a nice. Did we know that before either?
I
Or was
don't
that
think
new?
we did.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just now seeing that he was, but maybe that's new information.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see. This looks like a Space Goonies, Space Pirates, Space. What's the Peter Pan movie? The Robin Williams Peter Pan movie.
Hook.
Hook. Space Hook adventure. Seaweed Man, Gorian. Yeah. Seaweed Man, Gorian Shard. That's yeah, I'm excited. Anyway, that's our news. If for more news throughout the week for at least a more in-depth look at some of the news, as always, check out our Star Wars Culture YouTube page. There are weekly Star Wars slates that go up where they go more in depth. They had a nice segment about remembering James Earl Jones, talking about Ahsoka season 2. Ahsoka season 2 was confirmed, by the way. That's good news.
Excellent.
And so that's a good place to go for your need to know Star Wars updates and things like that. So moving on from the news segment on this day in Star Wars history. Take it away, Marty.
All right, so today I was actually kind of surprised to see this one pop up because I don't know how many people remember this, but if it'll load, there we go. On this day, September 18th, 2013, Angry Birds Star Wars 2 is released. It is released on the iOS, Android, Windows, and the Windows Phone 8. I don't know how many people remember the Windows Phone, but released on that. I was very surprised.
Yeah, I definitely played it on my either my first or second iPhone. I think I only played the first Star Wars game though, not the second one. What date was that again? Can you pull that up? What year?
Yep. Give me just a second. That was in 2013.
Nice. All right. Yeah, that was. I'm not going to age myself. Never mind. Not yet. 10,000 subs. I'll tell you how old I am. All right. Moving on from on this day into our top 3 segment. This time we did lightsaber battles. It started off as lightsaber duels, and then I had to change the name of the topic because none of the ones I picked are duels. But luckily, I think Marty has some nice 1v1 duels picked out. Starting with his number 3, which is this Obi-Wan Maul finale situation that takes place in Star Wars Rebels. So, what do you like about this one?
I just like the emotion behind it. Like everything built up to that moment. And just for it to end the way it did, I knew a lot of people were upset just because everyone's expecting this big ultimate duel. But you got to remember, Obi-Wan's been, learning and everything. So when he comes to meet Maul, I think he's finally figured out how to once and for all kind of end the feud. But it was just a nice little, like, I guess goodbye, you would say, to Maul. Like this whole rivalry that started, and I'll say my one of my other on this list. I don't know. It's just I found it very emotional, very very touching, and very samurai reminiscent.
Yeah, this would have was very close to making my list too. Are you aware of like the stances and stuff that Obi-Wan took right as the duel started?
he did it. I know that he's copied a couple of his, and then he did the Qui-Gon stance just to throw Maul off, thinking he had the upper hand.
Yep.
But
I thought
then
that was so. Yep. I thought that was so beautiful. Like the way they, like he started out with his own pose, and then he went straight into like Qui-Gon's defensive, stance, leading Maul to think that he could beat him the same way he beat Qui-Gon, and then he used that against him. Like he had surpassed both his own past skills and Qui-Gon's past skills, I guess. I just thought, like, I was sitting there watching it for the first time way later than I should have, and I was watching those stances. I was like the Leo meme.
Yeah.
I was like, he did the thing. So yeah, great choice. Good call. Oops, wrong one. So my number 3, this is, I hope ruffles some feathers, but it's from The Acolyte, and I couldn't find a good photo of it. But just gonna play a little bit of it here. It's the scene where he is just ripping through all these trained Jedi. Kamir, the stranger, is just demonstrating like whatever superiority he has, like his mastery of the darkness, his mastery of hiding himself and his movements from these Jedi. The cortosis, like the first time that we saw that in action on screen, we were like, how are they shorting out these lightsabers? He headbutted a lightsaber, and it worked, and that blew my mind like way off the top. Sorry, my ring light is like falling down for some reason. So that's number 2 or number 3 for me. Just a lot of like for the first 4 episodes, like we know someone's out there, and it was just building and building and building and building. And then episode 5, like everything comes together, and we finally see the power of this mysterious stranger that we've been talking about. So yeah, huge fan of that one.
I will say, like, I think the reason why like he was so aggressive and so able to kill as much as he did is like he's learned Jedi training. Like we know that the Cortosis helmet blocks all vision, so he's using nothing but the Force to just swing and kill. So he's really relying on that, while all the Jedi are using their eyes, so they're not really paying attention.
Yep, and they have not fought. Most of them have not fought an enemy like this before.
No,
like, and there's probably fear there and clouding their judgment. And I mean, it is dark. If they're using vision, like they can't see where he's going to move next. And not to mention, like, I don't think they've fought together much, and he doesn't have to protect anyone. He doesn't have to look out for anyone. He's on his own and just on a spree. So yeah, very badass.
Good choice.
Thank you. Moving on to number 2, another good choice: Maul versus Ahsoka at the end of the Clone Wars series.
Yeah, this one, I was, believe it or not, I was actually a little surprised that this one made my list and it being number 2. But I was going through everything that I could of trying to figure out what I enjoyed of lightsaber duels, and this one just kept popping up just because, for one, the animation, it's just, look at it, it looks really good. 2, the part of the choreography was actually motion captured, so that's Ray Park right there as Maul, again doing all the fighting as against somebody else.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
And so and this is just I don't know, it just feels like a way to end the Clone Wars in some aspect, just because now we know what for one, we definitely know what the Siege of Mandalore was. We know what happens now. And 2, we know where Maul ended up. Well, actually, we kind of figured that in Rebels, but we now see how he got to that point.
Yep. I think it was also a little mind-blowing in that episode how like they let us know. They all of a sudden like told us like Obi-Wan. They just slipped it into conversation like, oh, Master Kenobi has defeated General Grievous, and we're like, wait a minute, like this is during Episode 3 right now. That was
Yeah. I love that, and I watched the fan edits movies now of Episode 3, where it includes the Siege of Mandalore. It makes the whole experience even better.
Yeah, those fan cuts. Yeah, yeah, good stuff. Again, good choice. It just that whole last season of the Clone Wars in general was high quality. Over to my number 2. I picked skipping ahead to the sequels. I picked this fight here between between Kylo Ren and Rey and the guards, Snoke's guards, and this is purely because of its uniqueness. I think it definitely set the tone for like fights against enemies with armor that like wasn't completely impervious to lightsabers, but could resist to a degree, you know, because they had blows glancing off of their armor. Like you couldn't just saw through them like any other enemy, and that was tough. And like while they aren't overpowered by themselves, like they were obviously like while working together, they were not easy for Rey and Kylo to take down. So like one on one, no, they're not gonna go survive against Rey or Kylo Ren, but like working together, that was a sweet ass fight. And they all had slightly different types of weapons that they all were just masters at. Like it made me, I was looking at it, making me think like whoever was like hiring these, like whoever in Snoke's First Order like training, whoever was selecting these guards, like they had been training with these weapons their entire lives. And I think the cherry on top was how they killed the last one, where she throws him the lightsaber, he catches it and just goes and turns it on and off really quick, and it just goes right into his face. That was just I think I jumped up in the theater at that point. So I will watch that scene, that whole battle sequence all day.
You think that's they kind of got that inspiration of maybe a couple of taps on them from like playing video games, like whoever decided like, hey, this armor should be like if you were trying to beat a stormtrooper in Fallen Order or something.
Yeah,
you know, it just takes a couple hits in the video game. Why not do it in an actual movie?
Yeah, like there's like maybe even some of your top video games, The Force Unleashed, like there were like mini bosses where it was like, yeah, they weren't too difficult, but you had to put a little more effort into them than you did in most of the normal common enemies. And that's what this felt like. Yeah, very cool. All right, moving on to your number 1 with an asterisk. As you mentioned.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, number 1, and I don't know if anyone's seen a pattern, but all these have featured Maul in some capacity. That was another shocker. No, so that was just another shocker going through this list. I was like, man, all these have Maul, but number 1 was not the whole Duel of Fates, though I enjoy all of it. This is right after the Maul had just stabbed Qui-Gon, and then the shield ray comes down, and it's just Obi-Wan and Maul going at it, and the pure aggression of Obi-Wan's lightsaber combat, I'm sure it took Maul by surprise a little bit. He's like, wow, this guy's a little bit stronger than I thought, but I'm going to try to go back twice as hard. And as you could, if you know, everyone who's seen the movie, just that part where it's like slash to the front and then right behind too. And then they do that little spin. Like, I don't know, that was just like, ooh, this is really good. This is going to be epic.
When my brother and I were younger, we used to try and replicate those moves with some of those like durable toy lightsabers outside, like the ones that could handle some. We used to try and like make choreographed duels that used moves like that. Specifically that one you're talking about where he like he like goes for his back and he blocks back there and then blocks here. That was just so freaking cool. And they're both moving so fast. Maul's little waist tails are just flying everywhere like an angry ballerina. I think that's also the closest that I saw to Obi-Wan approaching the dark side anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I think the novel even like mentions this in his own inner monologue. Like if you asked him if there was no anger flowing through his veins right then, like there's no way the answer would be yes. Like there is some anger and thirst for revenge there, and he almost lost. Like he
Oh,
almost
yeah.
like that was, I don't know what Maul was paying attention to there, but those reflexes failed.
I think that's what it was. He was like, this guy's got a little bit of hatred in him, a little bit of the dark side flowing. I could use that against him.
Mm.
And that's why Obi-Wan's like, well, crap, now I'm hanging.
Yep.
Let's try to do this the right way.
My sweet lightsaber hilt is gone. Yep. All right. So my top selection with an asterisk is a little weird. Going with another video because there wasn't a great photo, but it's from a cinematic trailer for a game called Star Wars: The Old Republic. And it's just the Sith Empire is taking over the Jedi Temple, and there's just, look at this. This is taking place in the Jedi Temple. There's Sith and Jedi, every bounty hunters, like hired guns, and it comes to a head. Like these two start to face off against each other, and it's just, there's one move that I will never stop thinking about, and it's coming up. See, let me just, this one right there. He throws the thing. Look at, who thinks of that? He throws the lightsaber, and then in midair, like the guy jumps over the lightsaber. You could have just ducked, but sure, jump over the lightsaber, and then while he's in the air, the Sith is like, forget about the lightsaber. I'm just going to force push you. And he just force pushes him into this rock, and it just lots of spin moves and tragedy at the end. But yeah, it's spinning action. Just I think about this way too often.
Let's try spinning. That's a neat trick.
That's a neat trick. Well, he outspun you, bro. So yeah, but there's another one in another trailer where two Sith are facing off against two Jedi, and it's almost as good. I almost beat this one out, but I didn't want to do two from that video game.
I mean, you're right. The photo wouldn't have done it justice.
No, it's just the cinematic technology of those trailers back then was ahead of its time. It made me really want to play the game, and then the game didn't look like that, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was disappointed too.
I think it probably was a good game. I didn't really play much, but if you're into that, but the trailer just made it seem like a totally different thing than it was. I didn't know much yet about the types of PC games at that point, but
yeah,
I'm aging myself again. All right. And we have one like king of all lightsaber battles here. It would have made both our lists, but we wanted to give it the top spot. And that is obviously the Anakin Obi-Wan duel at the end of episode 3. Another type of duel of the fates. Basically brother versus brother. The choreography was insane. It has like, I know people originally were like, man, prequels, man. But like, if you ask most fans about it now, it's as close to universally revered as something in Star Wars can be.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's I don't know many. I can't think of anyone who openly dislikes this part. You knew it had to happen at some point throughout the whole prequels, and obviously the implications of who wins this and who doesn't finish the job on this are felt throughout the galaxy. Yeah,
I mean,
this is just.
I feel like if at the time this was it. This was the end of Star Wars movies as we know it. So it had to be over the top. It had to be very acrobatic, very emotional. And I feel like, yeah, you talk to anyone like what their favorite lightsaber battles would be, this would probably be a lot of people's number ones.
Yep. Or it would make the top 3 for sure.
Top 3 at least,
I
yeah.
assume for most people. But it was like I don't know, all the use of the lava and the like how are you climbing up those structures as they were falling, like the using the force together. There was that one goofy moment where their hands were like this, and
oh yeah,
I was sitting there being like, that must have been so silly to film. Just a lot of these force movements, like, yeah,
just touch it right there.
Yeah, just but yeah, this is top tier peak lightsaber battle content. Let me know if you agree or disagree, or let us know what lightsaber battles we missed. Because I definitely thought through a bunch, but let me know if there's one that you feel like should have been on the list and it didn't make it. But with that, we're gonna move on to another discussion here about the strange shifting of the Jedi's role before the Clone Wars and during the Clone Wars. After the Clone Wars, they didn't have much of a role in anything, unfortunately. But well, maybe unfortunately, we'll talk about it. But they so start at the beginning, High Republic era. What was the role of the Jedi? Like, what was their place in government, society, Coruscant, anything?
They and I'm sure if Matthew's watching, he's a big High Republic guy as well, and Dominic from Star Wars Underworld. I'm sure if they're watching, they probably could chime in too. But during the High Republic, they weren't really much into like the politics side of anything. Like they were still kind of a little bit of a separate. Things like the Jedi would help in some occasions, like still be like protectors of certain higher ups a little bit. They'll go out on pathfinding missions where they basically discover new hyperspace lanes and planets out there in the outer rim, and try to set up a base there to help people in need. So they're more like the relief effort of the Star Wars of the galaxy. Like if you needed food or shelter or clothing, or like some disaster happened, the Jedi will be there to help you in any way possible. And that kind of led on and on all the way up, even into the Acolytes, still at the tail end of the High Republic. But then you start to see the shift of the Jedi and the politics kind of coming together a little bit more. Like one's trying to dominate over the other a little bit with more influence. So the Jedi listen to what the Senate has to say. They listen. They follow their orders more and more. They become negotiators, or things like that. I mean, look all the way up to Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. They're diplomats basically. Like you don't want send anybody from a certain planet. Send the Jedi. They'll do it. They'll help work these negotiations out. And then that kind of led on the way up into Attack of the Clones. And then the war breaks out. Things change.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I'm not as well versed as you. I have not read much High Republic material at all. And so most of my experience is just from, I read some Jedi Apprentice. I love the Jedi Apprentice and Jedi Quest series. But that still just follows like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon before Phantom Menace, and then Anakin and Obi-Wan after Phantom Menace, before Episode 2. And yeah, It kind of matches. They are definitely kind of married to the Senate. Like they are very strongly in that role as like Senate advisors. by then, but definitely not military. Like you said, like Qui-Gon even says like we can protect. He says it to Amidala. We can protect you. We can't fight a war for you. Like we're two
Right.
guys, and that's not their role. But then once the Clone Wars start out, all of a sudden, like the Jedi, it's their role. Like we can fight a war for you.
Yeah. It's still kind of like a gray area because look at when they went to Onderon in season 5 of Clone Wars. It's still kind of like a war area, but they couldn't do anything because of diplomatic stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's like they still don't. I feel like they still can't decide if they're war, like fighters or peacekeepers or what their role is. I feel like just
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think every Jedi interprets their role differently, which is not super helpful, a not super helpful situation to have going on in your organization, especially if your organization has to deal with war and giving orders to battalions of clones. And that brings me to another point about this. Like I do have military experience, and you don't nominate a teenage girl anyone to run a platoon of like battle hardened platooned or trained troopers. Like you don't like. I'm talking about Ahsoka, obviously.
Right.
Like you can maybe screen some, like they were calling, like Commander Tano. You can maybe screen some like older, more experienced Jedi and like talk to them about their battle experience, talk to them about like commanding troops in general, like even like have them play chess, like have them do something. But they seem to just like, oh, we're in a war, obviously the Jedi are going to be these generals. And I think it worked out in some cases, but it really should not have worked out the way it did. Like they showed Ahsoka struggling in some of that role, but they
Right.
like she has skills, and like young Jedi, like Jedi Knights, like they have skills, but the skills that you learn as a Jedi are not necessarily the skills that you need to become a general of an army or like a commander of a squadron of like a starfighter squadron or things like that.
I think that's why a little bit like you're talking about, like she's a Padawan. She's still trying to learn just to be a Jedi. So
Right.
she's got the responsibility of first trying to be a Jedi and then trying to be a commander at that. While you have like someone like Obi-Wan or Anakin, who are, they've already went through all the heartaches of trying to be a Jedi. So now they can focus on more of what trying to be a Jedi in war is like.
Right. Like imagine being in the imagine being in the 501st or whoever Ahsoka was first assigned to, like on her own, and like in those platoons or the split off of the 501st or whatever, and it's like, oh, this is our new commander. She's 14. Okay. Is she like a prodigy, like a full-fledged like Jedi master at 14 years old? Oh, no. She's a Padawan. She's not even a full Jedi yet, but she's your commander. Okay. Yes, sir.
That's why I kind of like Rex, where he's like, sure, you're a commander, but I prefer experience than
Yep.
anything.
Like for me, experience outranks anything. Yeah, I like that. They do make a reference to this exact problem a couple times in the Clone Wars. But yes, it does shock me that like a galactic leadership at that level would just assign military leadership without the proper screening. And I don't know how much influence Palpatine had in that, because obviously he needed the Jedi to be placed exactly in those places to get quickly eliminated at Order 66. So I know the why. I just don't. I'm curious about the how, I guess, is what I'm saying.
It's like
hey,
we
we're
don't have
doing
enough.
this. Yeah.
It's like we don't have enough Jedi. Can we send her over there?
Yeah.
Just
Can we
do
just
that.
send one per 500 clones or something? I don't know.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
Well, I mean, they each Jedi Knight or Master is considered a general, so they are in charge of the whole battalion, I guess. So one Jedi out of thousands, maybe like thousands and thousands of clones. So yeah, it's not enough for a 14-year-old up to 17. We'll put it there. When she went to the Siege of Mandalore, she was 17, so she had a little bit more experience under her belt.
Yep, she
By
had.
then.
I guess a lot of her late training was in the war, so I think it makes sense that her path went kind of sideways.
If she happened, a sidebar here, and I just thought of this. If she had stayed with the Order, and things were a little different, the Jedi didn't perish or anything. You think this would have been considered her Jedi trials, like to become a knight by then, because she's suffered through so much during that war.
I think maybe stopping Maul might have qualified, since that was literally what Obi-Wan did as his trials.
True.
But well, they thought he did. Hey, I stopped the same person you did. Maybe, I don't know. Like, obviously, she did a lot more than a lot of other Jedi. I think throughout the Clone Wars, I'm sure a lot of the Jedi internal structure of things would have changed with all that coming to light. I do remember in one of the novels I did read that was called Mace Windu Shatterpoint novel, and I do remember that he was discussing something with someone. He was this was during the Clone Wars, after Episode 2, and he regrets taking when he sneaks up and ignites his lightsaber under Jango Fett's chin. He regrets he misjudged that situation. He wanted to negotiate with Dooku, and he says what he should have done is put the lightsaber up to Dooku's neck. He had the advantage. It wasn't the Jedi way, and he was sticking to the Jedi way, not the military general way. The military general way is you take out the leadership. And without Dooku, the rest of the war would not have gone well for the Separatists.
Right. I mean,
And
he really didn't want the war, so.
Right, and he was talking with someone, and he was like that I was thinking like a Jedi and not like a general, and she's like, a general would have dropped a bomb on that whole arena, because you are taking out, like, yes, you lose Anakin, Obi-Wan, Padme, you lose 3. You take out their whole leadership structure. You take out all the Geonosians that are on their side right now, helping run the factories. Like, that is the military move there. Not try and save my people, my 3 people at the expense of the whole war. And so that, I think that illustrates, not that I am for dropping a bomb and killing 3 of the main characters. That's not what I'm saying. But it illustrates how their mindset, the Jedi mindset, is different than what one might prefer in a galactic military situation.
Right.
So yeah, Jedi, generals, commanders, whatever. That was an interesting scenario in the Clone Wars, but we are actually going to move on to our Culture Spotlight segment with our first guest on the show. So this Culture Spotlight is on Star Wars Underworld, not Underground, like I accidentally keep saying sometimes. Star Wars Underworld Network. And our special guest is Hannah Rayside. So welcome, Hannah. You are muted.
I am
got
muted.
you.
What an entry!
Yes.
What an entry! Boom! Coming in hot. How
I'm
you
so
doing,
excited.
gang? Good to see you guys.
You
It's
too.
good to see
Welcome.
you too.
Thank
She
you.
may or may not be one of our producers, directors on the show as well. So it's super
Cannot
exciting to have her
confirm
here.
nor
I'm
deny.
sure we're not this isn't like an audition or anything. But you're not so tell us about Star Wars Underworld. What's your role there? What's it? Go.
Go. I love it. Yes. Star Wars. I wish we were the Star Wars Underground. That sounds like a secret network where, like, we can only talk about Star Wars secretly. I love that. Star Wars
That's
Underground.
kind of what I thought this was.
Uh,
So I'm excited to learn.
Star Wars Underworld, yes, is it actually started off as a website. Let's start there. Let's start at the roots. Start off as like a fan forum that, of course, one of the other hosts, Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy, created back in, I should know the year off by heart. I think it was 2010.
The logo says established 2010, if that helps.
Is that? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez, man, you know it better than me.
There,
Yes, so
see?
2010,
Right there.
back in the day, but it's been a podcast almost that amount of time as well. And it's only been in the past few years that the Underworld guys have jumped onto doing it on video, and because it was an audio podcast for like 10 years. And then we switched to doing video. So interesting story with how, because I'm fairly new still. Like I've been there for 2 years now, but I'm fairly new to it. But it's quite interesting of like how it even all came about, because I used to listen to the Star Wars Underworld guys. I used to listen to Ben, Chris, and Dom talking about Star Wars every week myself. And this is when I was not doing content at all. This is like 6 years ago now. And I had my own gardening business, and I would want to listen to something while I was doing like mowing people's lawns and like doing hedging and all these things. And so I would put on their podcast because it's always 2 hours. So I'm like, okay, I'll listen to a Star Wars podcast as I do shit. And then it was not 101 other things happening between that. But eventually I got actually connected into Chris because I started like sending fan questions to him and all these kinds of things. And long story short, I got connected with them. We're good friends now. We've been good friends for many years, and I've been on the show for 2 years as well. So it was really weird. I feel like I'm like a fan who like had a crush on a celebrity, and now I'm dating the celebrity. Not that I'm dating the Star Wars Underworld, but it's that energy, you know what I mean? Because I was like, I used to listen to this as a fan, and then now I'm on the show. So if anyone's listening to the Star Wars Culture podcast right now, you never know. Become friends with Ian and Marty.
We're good people.
Sneak on in there. Yeah. No, but yeah. So that's how I got there. And yeah, it's a good time. Deep Star Wars podcast is what's going down over there.
Nice. What are some of the, I don't know, topics, subjects, like what do you get after over there? Like what's the biggest like, oh, we got to talk about this week.
Yeah, so it's really a big focus on the news that happens around Star Wars, the articles, the pieces and comments that come out, anything Star Wars related. So a lot of analysis on what directors are pitching their Star Wars movie next, because that seems to happen like once a week with Star Wars. That like, oh, this director says he's gonna make this movie now. It's like, what is going on? If we took everything literally, there would be like 5,000 Star Wars movies right now.
Gimme.
But we analyze a lot of that and look at all the news and quotes of people that were talking about Star Wars throughout the week, as well as the bigger stuff. And when shows are happening, we're doing deep reviews of each episode. We do 2 hours analysis of each episode of Star Wars, of anything that comes out. That includes, even the visions, and we're doing Rebuild the Galaxy as well later this week, and we just go real deep on that. So it's a very almost, I don't want to say philosophical, but it's very much like how Star Wars is connecting to our reality and what's happening with it in our world. But yeah, it's if you can sit down, if you want to listen to something for 2 hours, it's the show for you. Absolutely.
I do that at work. Anytime I get a chance to, I put in my earbuds. I listen to Underworld when I can, like the next day. So Friday for me, I'd be at work in the morning. I'd be listening to Underworld. I've been listening like you. I've been a fan for for them for a very long time. I've
Yeah,
listened.
damn.
I've listened to the podcast since 2015.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was right there,
Nasty.
right there at the hype of The Force Awakens when I first discovered them. And so when I was working as a student worker at the university I was at, that's all I'd listen to while I'm doing some work, is them listening to that, and I still miss it to this day, is I Heard a Rumor by
I
Madonna.
heard a rumor. Yeah.
Yeah, I miss it every time.
Oh, me too, man. But yeah, that was a peak time because it's interesting you mentioned that the Force Awakens time and even with each of the sequel movies that were coming out was really peak Underworld because Dom especially, but all the guys over there were just going so hardcore on the news coverage of those movies, so that really gained their popularity. Which I mean, I can't really take credit for because I was like in high school at the time. I was like not around. It's really interesting. It's almost like the group of us because it's like the three guys and me. And so I like to explain that it's kind of like the Bad Batch. Like they are like the experienced clones that like know what's happening. They've been doing this for like a decade. And I'm just coming there. I'm like, hey guys, what are we doing? Where are we going here now? What's next? No way.
Definitely the Omega of the group.
100%. It's so funny. Yeah. Good time.
Do you have a dog to be Badger?
Do I have a dog? I don't have a dog, but if I get a dog, I should call it Badger, I guess. Now I feel like that's my destiny in life. Yeah.
15,000 subs, you'll name your next dog Badger.
There we go. Yeah.
Yep.
It's my favorite thing to do. Just make a sub marker, and then I'll do it. Then. Sure.
I mean that you've actually had to do some of it, I believe, right? Like you had to do the Thrawn makeup once.
Yes.
And then,
Each time I keep having to paint myself because I keep making these benchmarks for people to get. Thrawn was one of them. I said, I don't know what it was. I think it was like 500 likes on a tweet that I posted. I'll paint myself as Thrawn, and it got like 1,000. It was like, oh jeez, oh, God. So I keep doing it to myself. I keep having to hire the number, which I guess is good.
Yeah, I guess that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
So what besides like, hey, go see here's the YouTube channel, Star Wars Underworld.
Yeah.
So as you can see, they have tons of deep dives into like weekly deep dives into whatever's going on. Return of Hondo, awesome. Skeleton Crew.
that was a bit of a low news week. That one. There was not too much going on. No way, we gotta pull something out of something. That title is literally based on the fact that he's in he's getting like his figure in Galaxy's Edge is like getting a makeover or something.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Yep. It was something like that.
I'm so scared for like I'm glad we just have like a minor news segment, but I'm so scared for like weeks or months of a stretch where like nothing is new in Star Wars world because it's like it's just a news segment, but like what are we gonna talk about? Like what? Because it would have to like we can delve into top 3 and stuff forever, but so yeah, what as a representative of Star Wars Underworld Network, what do you want to tell our viewership?
What do I want to tell them?
Besides, like, go subscribe to the podcast.
Well, the Star Wars Underworld, I think, for a long time has stood for like deep discussion, and that's where I think a lot of the earlier fandom started. It started on these forum pages on the internet back in the 2000s, talking about the prequels and all that kind of thing, and that's really how the Star Wars Underworld Network like started. It was a forum page, it was a website, just posting articles, posting pictures, talking about the movies, and especially that was like kind of Clone Wars era where it started. And I think that's especially these days in this climate, and you guys talk about it a lot too, which is fantastic, of the the intensity and the what's the word I'm going for? The volatility. I'm going to make up a word for that. Of fans at the moment, and it is just so insane. It's so suffocating, and it can feel so intense at the best of times. And we really need to make sure that, you know, if we want to be doing good as Star Wars fans, having these discussions, analyze things. If things aren't, if you don't like the show, if you don't like an episode, if you don't like a character, like analyze it. Go, oh, I didn't connect with it for this way, or I didn't like this genre. That's interesting that they chose to direct it like this, and to have those deep discussions to analyze topics and shows and things that are coming out of Star Wars. That's actually enriching. That's actually good. Forums discussion, that's actually a very inherently good thing. But it has definitely transformed. Like Star Wars discussions have transformed very much in the past few years to be this very personal thing. It's offensive. Everything, I'm offended. You're offended. I'm going to offend you for offending me. It's very much that, which is just bananas. It's so weird. And I think, yeah, one thing of the underworld to bring it back to that is there is actually benefit in analyzing, discussing with friends or people on the internet. There's benefit to that because you can learn other perspectives. We just got to keep in mind how to just don't take everything too seriously and just do things in in moderation and understand that there's other opinions out there. Which I hope. Yeah, I hope this.
I mean, I can't just like call it just woke trash and then just
yeah, sure,
spew stuff.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So besides the main flagship show, you guys got a few underneath that umbrella, right? So you want to maybe talk about those a little bit, like what?
Yes, do we shout those guys out? Yeah, Ion Cannon is another one, another podcast on the network, headed up by Joel and Matthew, who are there we go, it's down there, stunning. Joel and Matthew doing stuff over there. Boom! Look at that subbed.
I was just showing.
They're actually now on your the actual Underworld page. I don't think they've used that one in a while.
That's a good question because they do it live on the Underworld channel even.
So if you go to the live, you can find them, Ian.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're kind of mixed in there
out all the time, every week. What a time. But they are there for your deep lore topics. If you want to know about the psyche of a Jedi that existed like 200 years ago, they're going to explain it to you.
I do want to know that.
They are both big lore guys, big readers as well, big into the books and comics. Exactly, good example for that one. If you want to know a very specific detail of something about Star Wars, they go into a lot of political things. The Senate, how do they set up the Galactic Senate? How did these parties work? How did the Emperor do this in his time? Really just making a big nutritious soup of Star Wars knowledge for you. So that's the Iron Cannon guys over there. They are absolutely legends. Love them.
You also got Tractor Beam with Matthew Still, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. That's Matthew and Starruptor does that. I think that's still on the Underworld page as well. I think they.
Yep, it's still there too, mixed in. He's actually coming on right after us.
Yep, that's it. You betcha. Tractor Beam.
There he is right
having a comic focus, a more comic end. They're really on top of, like, if his new Star Wars comic comes out, like within about 37 minutes, there's like a review, an analysis, and a whole dissertation about it by the Tractor Beam guys, which is Matthew from Ion, but also Starruptor as well, collaborating there. But yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good onto it. They're very, very quick with it. So that's also happening on the. So it's like live all the time. The Star Wars Underworld channel is like live, just like every day. Something.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. You guys keep me busy over there with your thumbnails. At least Ion and Tractor Beam. Every now and then the main show, but mostly those two.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep you busy. That's it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Hannah. Star Wars Underworld. Go here. I'll click back to it, but go follow it. Subscribe to it. Do all that stuff. It's awesome. Plenty of content, like several times a week. Really in-depth stuff, no matter what your cup of tea is over there. So thanks, Hannah. Feel free to stick around for trivia if you want.
I have not. I'll go answer. I don't want to like get spoiled with the answers.
Oh, so okay. Gotcha.
I'll answer in the chat.
Okay, sweet.
Okay.
All right. See you soon. All right, moving on to the next, I guess, final segment of our show. As always, Star Wars trivia, and I am ashamed to announce that I have never gotten 5 out of 5. So I'm either ashamed or impressed by Marty's questions. So let's see if I can finally break that streak tonight.
All right. Let's see. So Star Wars trivia, 5 questions. I try to get them as fairly to all different kinds of eras. Some might be a little bit more in the same. It just depends on what I feel like would be a good question to stump Ian on.
Well, it's freaking working, dude. So,
All right.
yeah. So feel free to put the answers in the chat. Like honor system, like you'll know if you saw it or not, or if you knew it or not, and then we'll he'll just throw a question up one by one, and then we'll throw all the answers up at the end so you can see how you did. So feel free to throw them in the chat. You don't need to be too secretive or anything. Yeah, let's do this.
All right, so let's get going with maybe it'll play. It's been a little slow. There we go. Question 1. What order did Jabba's palace originally belong to? Is it A, the Bomar Order, B, Jedi Order, C, Hutt Cartel, or D, Pike Syndicate? Maybe a little easy. Got to start easy, right? Maybe.
Got to warm us up.
Got to warm up. Yeah.
This is easy. This is easy.
Welcome back.
This is easy.
I think it's easy, but maybe it's not. Maybe there was you know what? We'll talk about it after. Because I thought it was easy, but then it was. Now I'm overthinking it. Go with your gut, Ian.
Yep, go with your gut, guys. All right, we'll move on to the second question. What was the name of Boba Fett's bounty hunter syndicate during the Clone Wars? Was it A, Mythosaur's Skull, B, Purgle's Fin, C, Crate's Claw, or D, Bantha's Hide? I mean, this one I've been wanting to use this question for a while, but I thought today might have been a good opportunity to use it.
I know that I have a guess, and I know that this is going to be the one I get wrong.
We'll have to find out. All right, moving on to the third question. What is Ben Solo's or Kylo Ren's home world? Is it A, Naboo, B, Coruscant, C, Corellia, or D, Chandrilla?
This was in reference to the other one, Bantha's Claw or Bantha's Hide and everything, but they do sound like band names.
We are Mythosaur's Skull. We are Bantha Hide. I might use that one. That's gonna be my new band name now. All right, gonna move on. Question number 4. What planet was the Halcyon constructed on? And it's kind of the same 4 planets. Was it A, Naboo, B, Coruscant, C, Corellia, or D, Chandrilla?
I'm going to get like 3 out of 5, dude. It's going to hurt again.
One of these days.
I started out so confident.
All right. And last question. Who is Moff Gideon's spy inside the New Republic as Amnesty Officer G68? Is it A, Pen Pershing, B, Elia Kane, C, Gilad Pelion, or D, Valen Hess?
All right, show me my pain. Bring the pain.
Let's do this. Let's bring the pain. Number 1, was A, Bomar Order. 2 was C, Crate's Claw. 3 was D, Chandrilla. 4 was C, Corellia. And 5 was B, Elia Kane.
See, I got them all except for the first one. I knew it. I've never heard of the Bomar Order. I just straight up didn't know that one.
Yeah, they're the Bomar monks that have the little brains inside those spiders.
Oh, that was that. They had that palace before Jabba.
Yep, they were actually full humanoid monks, but they believed that their brains could not suffice the body, so they got rid of the body and put their brains inside spider jars.
So first of all, that's disgusting. Second of all, I have heard that before. I just thought they were like these tragic like creatures that scoured the desert or whatever, and I guess they are, but I did not realize that they had ownership of that area. Why did they have like a death pit in there? You know what? Jabba probably had that made, didn't he?
Yeah, he probably did some renovation. He's been there for quite a while.
Man, I got the others. I knew it. Claw was the only one that was relatively threatening, so I knew it had to be that one. I didn't know it for sure, but I knew it had to be that one. I knew Chandrilla. I knew Corellia because it's where they build ships. What was the last one? I knew the last one.
Let me see if I can pull it back up. Go back.
There you go. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, Elia Kane. Yeah, I knew that one.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Dang it. I'm always one. Like 4 out of 5 every time.
Hannah, how'd you do?
Wait, am I in?
Yeah, you're in.
Yep,
I
you're
put you in.
Oh, hang on. Where's my screen gone? I can't see you. Hang on.
Oh no, sorry.
I'm back. Oh, I'm back.
You're on.
Yes.
Yeah, you're there.
I got 2. I got 2 out of 5.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
2 of mine were guesses, so I just got lucky guesses.
I gotta have Ben on and see how he does.
Oh, he would annihilate, man. I would love to see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've been surprised I go to Star Wars trivia nights at bars in my area sometimes, and I am always surprised. First of all, it is packed every single time. Oh no. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I'm so sorry, Tilly.
That's my girlfriend. So, she knows nothing about Star Wars, so that's not surprising. Oh, that's really funny.
Trying not to
that's
cry.
great.
That's good stuff.
it's okay.
That's great.
It's okay.
That's fantastic.
I'm always surprised they have first of all, every single bar, no matter what the bar is, if it's Star Wars trivia, the turnout is through the roof. So I really do think people drive from hours away to do these. And second of all, if you miss one, like you're done. You're gonna have people tied with perfect answers at the end. So it really just depends on how deep they go with the questions. I went to one where it was like, what is Luke's sister's name? And we're like, dude, you gotta try harder with these.
Yeah.
It was like 7 teams tied with perfect scores at the end, and they had to do like a rock paper scissors for these gift cards.
Oh
no,
geez.
the top score was a $200 gift card to the bar, and it was you had to do rock paper scissors at the end, like 8-way rock paper scissors. It was so stupid.
That's hilarious.
Whatever. Anyway, I hope sorry Tilly, but I hope anyone else who played did a little bit better, had a little bit better experience with the trivia and with the show in general. But that is our show. We hope you enjoy what we're doing here as a podcast. We know Star Wars fandom and comment sections can sometimes get dark, toxic, exhausting, frustrating, all kinds of stuff, but it doesn't have to be that way. We are trying to bring fun and positivity to the Star Wars side of the internet. Remember, there are more of us. Again, if you ever have anything for us, questions, requests, suggestions for future segments, anything at all, throw them in the comments and we will see what we can do. Don't forget to follow. Let me see. There's a whole... you missed the trivia. It's all right. You'll get them next time.
Scroll back.
You'll get
Scroll
5
back.
out of 5. Yeah, you can just scroll back as soon as the thing's over. You got this.
That's it.
Also, lightning slug with that photo. That's
great?
fantastic. That's cool. It's like Emperor Palpatine as a slug. He's just like,
There's a fanfic for you. Wow.
Yeah, that's great. But don't forget to follow. I got a whole list here. So Nerdiest Stepdad, that's me on most platforms. Marty21794 on Instagram. The Rayside, along with Star Wars Underworld, Ion Cannon, Star Wars Culture, Culture Slate. All those people. There's a lot of them are in the description here, but lots of really fun, positive, all kinds of Star Wars content to throw at you. But join us again next week, 7 p.m. Eastern, to celebrate the best of Star Wars culture. You all have a good night.